So I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience with meeting the parents for the first time and how most people go about, meeting the parents of your significant other. And not only, of course, have I had quite a bit of experience in this, but I'm very observant. So I've watched many other, uh, including a lot of my friends, what they've done, what their reviews were. So I've really gotten a really kind of unique perspective in that. And so I thought I would just take a moment for those of you who maybe are very new, or of course who have maybe never met their parents, or who are about to meet parents, or their significant others. Whoever, maybe it may not be their parents, maybe it's their best friend that they call their parents. But the idea is the same, right? They want to introduce you to someone that is very close to them and whose opinion of what they think about you is going to be highly regarded. So I wanted to, first, I think in this module, I'm going to just talk about what you should wear. And then I'm going to separate it to another module on how or what you should discuss. Because they're both very important and they kind of really deserve their own separate time slots. So, thinking about my past and a lot of what my friends have worn, I would say for men, it's probably slightly easier than for women to try and figure out what you should wear when you're meeting the other person's parents. So let's just jump straight into it. First thing to note is the easiest way to figure out what to wear is ask your significant other. And why that's important is because they may already know, right? They may say, look, don't get dressed up fancy, just wear shorts and a shirt. It's a little unorthodox in my mind, but that's what they may say, and they may be perfectly comfortable, right? So ask your significant other, what do you recommend? If they're not sure, if they have siblings, ask what they have done in the past, right? Use their past experiences as a bridge or a platform to build on. If they say, yeah, this is what they wore and it wasn't an issue, you can kind of copy that. If they say, yeah, they wore this and it was a disaster, then you know at least what not to wear and why it was a disaster. So first thing to do is ask your significant other what the recommendation is. If they're not sure, then for guys, it's a fairly safe bet what you can do. Grab yourself a dress shirt. Make sure that dress shirt is ironed. Pants that match the dress shirt, either in color or in form. And shoes. And a belt. That's really about it for guys. I mean, 9 out of 10 times you can just wear something like that, and it's professional enough to people to notice, okay, you dressed well, but not to the point where you overdress. Because what you don't want to do is walk in there with a suit and a tie, unless that your significant other is saying, yes, that's the right way to do it, or that's the way that I want you to do it. Unless they're adamant about that, you do want to actually be careful not to overdress, because it might make everyone else feel like they're underdressed. So now they may be feeling nervous, and you're feeling nervous, and your significant other is feeling nervous, and pretty soon everyone's feeling nervous, and you don't necessarily want that. So unless it's explicit you need to wear a suit, then I would recommend really a nice dress shirt. Make sure it's ironed. Dress pants. Make sure you have good shoes. Do not wear tennis shoes. Get a nice, dress shoes, black or brown, or whatever matches what you're wearing. And of course, a belt. Don't walk in there without a belt. As long as the belt's color matches the shoe color, you're pretty much set to go. Make sure the belt's appropriate, because people are going to see that, right? When you're sitting down, standing up, taking off your jacket. For guys, if you don't have a lot of this, if you're saying, wow, I don't have a dress shirt and I certainly don't have dress shoes, the last thing you need to go do is to go and spend a ton of money, right? My recommendation is not to go to Macy's or some place like that and grab this stuff to wear if you don't have it. My recommendation is go to a Salvation Army. go to a Goodwill. You know, I don't know what people's problem are in getting used clothing, but I guarantee you, I can go get um, exactly what I said. I can get dress shoes, uh, really nice pants, a fantastic shirt, and um, make it look good. And I guarantee you, I can walk out of there paying maybe $20 at max. And if I went and got all that new, I'm going to spend $150, especially if I'm getting dress shoes. It's ridiculous. Why would you go and do that? You don't need to stress out your wallet. So if you don't have some of this stuff, go to a Goodwill place, Salvation Army, Goodwill, whatever is around you, and find something there. Now, for guys, there's a huge bonus here, not in terms of just monetary, right, saving money, but there's another huge bonus. Most people that work at the Goodwill, right, there's usually a bunch of women working there as well, maybe at the cashier or they're stocking. Use that to your advantage. Ask them. If you are not sure if the color coordination is good, if you find pants there and you find a dress shirt and you're like, I don't know if this is appropriate or if it's good, put it on and then ask someone, right? Ask someone, say, hey, ma'am, or miss, depending on her age. Say, hey, I'm meeting my girlfriend's parents for the first time. Do you think that this matches? If not, can you help me try and find something? And I guarantee you, just because you're asking them for their advice, especially when it's related to something like this and they're a woman, yeah, they're going to help you out. So you have a huge advantage there, right? You actually can ask someone. Now, if you're at a department store, they're going to talk you up and probably try and sell you something that's more expensive. They're going to try and upcharge tricks and all of that. And it's not worth it. So are they really giving you good advice because they want to sell you something? Well, how do you know? Maybe. So if you're at a Goodwill type place, that's not really their motivation. They don't really care. But I guarantee you they're going to care if you ask them, hey, do I look all right? Meeting someone for the first time. Yeah, they're going to help out. So that's a huge plus for guys that just have trouble color coordinating or just not sure what to wear. You can ask real advice, and you don't even, you're asking someone who you don't know, right? So it's not like you really have to be too embarrassed about it. But that's what I would do. It works. You walk out of there confidently knowing you've bought something that fits right, that didn't cost you an arm and a leg, and that, and you have another female's perspective, advice, and they say, yeah, it looks good, perfect. So you're really set in that regard. A couple of things. Make sure you wear a belt. Do not walk in there not wearing a belt. It's appropriate, and it helps keep your pants up. It helps keep you, for the parents that are going to be looking at you, right? And her parents are going to be wondering, what kind of individual is this? You miss a belt, they're going to be like, wow, he didn't even wear a belt. I mean, how people can be when they're mocking. So take the appropriate step. Wear a belt. Make sure it matches the color of your shoes. Usually just black or brown is fine. I have one of those belts that you can turn the buckle, and then you can flip whatever side you want to see, whatever. Feel free to wear, jewelry is okay. Make sure it's not, let's talk a moment about watches. If you have an elegant piece, I would recommend it. If your elegant piece is very expensive, like if you're wearing a watch that's over $1,000, I recommend not wearing it. I know you're thinking to yourself, okay, why the hell would I not wear a really nice watch? Well, because you don't want to, if they have a brother or someone in that family that really knows watches, they might think you're loaded. They might think, oh wow, this person's, or they might take it wrong and think, wow, this person's here just to show off how wealthy they are. You can do that the second time you meet them, the third time, it's perfectly fine. But first impressions, right? You never get a second opportunity to make a first impression. Once it's done forever. So my recommendation is don't wear super, super expensive or super, super fancy watches. Tone that down, guys. I know it's almost contradictory. It's like, why would I have a nice watch? Do it for the second time you meet them, or the third time, or when you get to know them. But for the first time, you don't want them to think that, you're money bags and loaded, especially if it's not true. Because then later on, they're going to be like, oh, I thought you were loaded. Why can't you, So you want to be careful with that. So I'd recommend wearing a non-digital watch if you have one. Digital is okay if you have a digital watch. you know, and you can move it to an analog face, move it to an analog face. And then, because it's just more elegant. It's just more, it just says a lot about you. It's a bit more elegant, I think. And of course, your significant other should be able to provide some advice. So don't underestimate that. Say, hey, what do you think's appropriate? And if, she may say completely the opposite of what I'm saying. She may say, what's appropriate? We're in California, right? She may say, wear shorts, wear sandals, make sure you're wearing a nice dress shirt, and that's it. And that's perfectly fine. But make sure you have a belt on those shorts. So it does depend, of course, on, the family, right? The lineage, where they're from, right? And maybe what they look for. So that's why your significant other's opinion is going to be, should be the most highly regarded, because they're going to know, or at least have a good idea. But honestly, for guys, if you kind of stay to the middle of the road, you're really going to be set to go. I really don't think 99% of what I've seen, when people dress like that, it's a non-issue. One more thing. Make sure that you are wearing clean socks. If you're wearing something dress appropriate, like I just mentioned, make sure it's black socks. If you're wearing white socks for other reasons or for what you're wearing, fine. Just make sure that they're clean, that they're not a day old, because it's very possible you're going to get in there and you're going to take your shoes off first thing, and the last thing you want is for your socks to be smelling the whole room. That's embarrassing and kind of gross, right? No one wants to smell your toe jam. Usually you yourself don't want to smell your toe jam either. So, cut it out. And I know it goes without saying, but take a shower before you get dressed and go that day, not the day before. Again, goes without saying, but maybe I should just mention it. Take a good shower. Scrub everything. All right, let's talk a little bit about girls. First things first, same thing. Ask your man. Say, hey, what do you think I should wear? They may have other brothers, and they will say, here's exactly what happened when my brother introduced, his girlfriend at the time. And that would be a good starting point for what to wear. Women, I know that you are not going to like this advice, but tone down the makeup for the first time that you're meeting them. And here's why. Okay, I want to give you a reason why I think it's appropriate to tone down the makeup. Because I have seen where, women want to obviously impress, right, their son's family, especially their son's mom, into showing how pretty you are and how elegant you are, how precious you are, and etc., etc. But too much makeup, and women, this better than men. Too much makeup can look or can be seen critical of the other person. It's a cause to talk about. It's a cause to question someone, potentially sincerity, because they feel like they're covering too much up of themselves, especially on makeup. It's one, I would recommend not dulling yourself up as usual. So the best way that I have seen that works well, where it's a non-controversy, right? When you're introducing yourself to the other person's parents, you really want to leave, and you don't want them to talk about what you were wearing, right? You don't want them to talk about what you smelled like, right? Those are the safe zones or the non-controversy topics. You want them to talk about you. Was the person nice? She has an interesting job, or she's a very unique person. You want them to understand who you are, not what you look like. So with that being said, sometimes women, as I mentioned, this better than anyone. If you have someone who wears a considerable amount of makeup, it does beg the question, why are they wearing so much? And I don't have to go any further, I think, for women to understand what I'm referring to. So I would recommend toning the makeup down. And you can do it in two separate ways, okay? If you can do it with respect to the magnitude of makeup. So you can say, okay, well, instead of powder and foundation and 10 other 1,000 things, I'm going to do powder, foundation, a little bit of mascara, and maybe lipstick. Really keep it basic as much as you can, because it makes you seem more genuine, especially to your boyfriend's mother, who you know is going to be looking at you every which way. You know that. So you do want to seem genuine from that respect. The other way that you can tone the makeup down is not just from the magnitude, but from the color. Okay? So, it's almost common sense until you really think about it, but put makeup on that is closer to your skin tone, at least for the first time. So, for example, rather than having bright red lipstick the first time you go there, especially if compared to your complexion, it really, really shows, maybe have a lipstick that's closer to your skin complexion. Tone it down so you're not standing out as much. That's really what this is about. Tone the color palette that you're wearing to where maybe it's more neutral, it's more earthy, or it matches your skin tone. By doing so, and again, this is the goal. You don't want to leave and they think, or they talk about your makeup the whole time, right? You're not there as a makeup artist. Whether they say, wow, I've never seen makeup put on so well before, look at that girl, or it's the flip side and go, wow, can you believe how much makeup she had on? Either which topic, you really don't want them to talk that about you. That's not what you're there for, right? The whole objective of you being there is for them to kind of introduce you for the first time and go, wow, what a great girl. She's amazing. She's a perfect fit. Makeup isn't going to be part of that conversation of perfect fit. They're not going to go, wow, she knows how to put on makeup. She's perfect for him. Right? That's miss the boat if that's what they're talking about the entire time. So that would be my recommendation. Tone down the magnitude of makeup that you're applying. You really want to be as natural as you can. Okay? And I understand for some women, it's a self-conscious thing. But women, you guys talk more about other women than men talk about women, for damn sure, right? And you have your own circles, and you all criticize each other like there's no tomorrow all the time, whether you have sisters or girlfriends from college or at work. Everyone knows you do it. So the thing is, you don't want to be that topic, at least for this first time. So tone it down, play it safe, kind of neutral, and you'll really be set to go. I've seen some awkward situations that kind of arise, especially when they're unexpected. Sometimes, girlfriends go there thinking, oh, we're just going to sit down and talk. Next thing you know, they're going out to eat. Or they're going out. I saw one person where they said, we're going to go to a play. And neither the brother or his significant other that he was introducing even had any idea about it. So what am I getting at is be careful if you're going to wear a skirt. Damn well be careful if you're going to wear a dress, because you never know what that family is going to say. Hey, let's go do this all of a sudden. You don't know kind of what type of chair you're going to be sitting in, if it's going to be a high chair or a low chair. And I know sometimes that does matter on what you wear as far as a dress or a skirt. Again, women, you can fairly much critique yourself. You can put yourself, have a little empathy, put yourself in the mother's son's shoes and say, what would I want, right? My son to bring home as far as a girlfriend, and if you think that dress is going to look too slutty, if you think that dress is going to give out that vibe of being easy or it's all about looks, anything like that, even for a moment, if you're like, oh, maybe this, you already know, don't wear it. Wear something toned down. Always remember, stay focused. This is about you introducing yourself to that family, and you want them to get to know who you are as a person. Not just what you look like, because a picture is what you look like, and they've probably seen your picture, but now they want to get to know you for a long-term relationship, right? They want to get to know you because the idea is potentially this could end up into a real long-term relationship, a marriage. So you have to think in terms of what's really important. Looks is important initially, but really not in the long-term boat. So keep that in mind as you're trying to figure out what to wear. And again, ask your boyfriend or your significant other's advice about what it is that you think that they should wear. They may already know. So don't go and reinvent the wheel and stress out. Girls, again, Goodwill store, used store, don't go out and buy a $300 dress. It's not only going to make you look rich, but again, in the perception of that other person's eyes, they may be like, well, what is this girl really about? Is it just about looks? Does she actually love my son, or is she there just to be pretty? You're women. You know how you talk about each other. Be smart. Okay? Be smart. So go to a Goodwill store, grab a whole bunch of used stuff. There's used purses there, there's used dresses, although again, I don't recommend that. There's a whole bunch of used clothing there. And again, you can ask the women that work there, hey, what do you think about this? Does this look good? And you can easily walk out of there paying $25 or less. So switching topics for just a second, I would want to talk about perfume and cologne, right? Cologne for men, perfume for women. My recommendation is, if you're going to wear any, and you really don't need to, but if you're going to wear any, be sure that you just one spray. And why I'm mentioning this is because you never know who you're going to be around. And you may meet your significant other's mom, and all of a sudden their grandparents may show up, or other friends may show up, or maybe they were leaving and they decided to stay and meet this new girl, or meet your new guy, right? If you're there and you smell like you bathed in Aqua Velva or Acqua di Gio, no one wants to smell that. And you kind of risk offending someone. And oil factories. And what I mean by that is, some people are extraordinarily sensitive to smell. So while you might smell, for example, a chocolate brownie from 3 feet away, they can smell it from like 10 feet away, right? They have a really good sense of smell. So imagine what it's going to be like is if, guys, you're spraying yourselves down with 5 or 6 sprays. Girls, you put perfume in front of you, on your breast, on the back of you, all over the damn place. Imagine what it's going to be like if you go next to someone and they're that sensitive. They're gonna like choke, and they're gonna get offended. And you can be the nicest person in the world, but if you're in front of someone that smells, yeah, no one wants to be in front of someone that smells. So my recommendation, if you're gonna wear perfume, if you're gonna wear cologne, one spray. So women, one spray. Just one spray. That's it. Guys, your benefit, if you have aftershave that has a scent to it, you don't even need to put on cologne. Because the best thing is, if someone smells you when you get up close to them, if they're like hugging you for the first time, they'll smell it there. Otherwise, you don't need to put on cologne, because then you've got 2 different perfumes or colognes going on anyway, competing each other. So don't worry about it. It's really not that important in the grand scheme of things. But women especially, you can get carried away, and there is a risk that you could have so much on that the person that you're meeting that could be like, wow, this is just too much, and then they're thinking about how you're perfumed the entire time instead of trying to figure out who you are. So that's my advice as far as what to wear. I think at the end of the day, at a high level, first thing, ask your significant other what they recommend, and go down, and if they have older brothers and sisters that have gone through this approach, especially if they're from the Middle Eastern, where this becomes even more important. You ask, what have their sisters done? What have their friends? How have they done it? And what has been successful with them? What did they wear? How well did they get along? So that's really a key step, because that's so easy to build a bridge from there. If they don't have that example, or if they're not sure, then stick with the basics, right? Wear a nice dress shirt, guys, dress pants. Make sure the belt and shoes match, and one spray of cologne and aftershave. Make sure you shower that day, and I didn't mention this before, but make sure you file your nails down and that they're clean. No gunk or black things underneath your underneath your nails. For women, it's going to be virtually the exact same advice. You're still going to be showering that same day. I know you don't want to do your hair, that's fine, but you're probably going to want to shower that day. You're still going to want to do your nails. I recommend against wearing a dress or a skirt, just because you don't know that situation you might be in, and it may be slightly uncomfortable. If you're going to wear it, just be careful about what it says about you. Again, put your empathize a bit. Put yourself in that mother's shoes, and that your son was coming down with a woman. What would you think about them? And if you have even a doubt that you go, oh, she's going to think I'm easy, a slut, well, whatever. I don't care what those words are. But if you get that idea for a moment, don't wear it. That's the safe bet, right? Wear something else where you don't get that idea. Play it low key, and tone down on the makeup. Again, you can tone it down by either using a lot less in magnitude, or you can tone it down by making sure that it's more closely to your skin complexion. Try not wearing makeup that's very, very vibrant, where they're always looking at it, because it's okay after the second or the third time and they get to know you, right? They want to know your personality. That's perfectly fine. But for the first time, you really want them to get to know you. Who are you? What type of personality are you? Are you funny? Are you sad? Are you melodramatic? Are you interesting? Are you really knowledgeable about something that many people are not? Are you experienced in something? That's what you want them to think about when you leave. Then later on, you can dress up and look as pretty and fancy as you are. But my recommendation is tone it down. Again, this is just from my experience, so everyone's ideas may differ, but at least you can use my advice as kind of a springboard, whether you think it's good advice or bad advice. And, leave your comments below. Let me know if you followed any of this, how well it's worked out for you. And good luck on your venture, and subscribe if you find this helpful, and I can put more audios on. All right, have yourself a great one, and again, good luck to both of you.